Welcome back to Data Center News Asia. And despite my Chinese New Year red, we're running a bit behind the schedule on the team celebrations. It is Eid Mubarak or Ramadan Mubarak this week as our festive data center news.
Yes, all sorts of celebrations kind of merging into one at the moment.
That's the lovely thing about the multicultural lands of Asia, is that there's always a festival if you look hard enough every week. Although
Pretty much,
these are
yeah.
fairly big ones, to be honest. I shouldn't be diminishing Chinese New Year and Eid. That's 3 billion people each.
Yes.
Let's get on with the news before I get cancelled.
Right, where are we starting? I think we said we would start with Microsoft, did we?
Yeah, we'll go to India first. So India this week, again, it's Chinese New Year, so India has got free reign on the news media, and they have got some big news updates. Microsoft, this isn't strictly an India story, it was just a segue, but there was a blog post this week from Brad Smith, who's the VP and Chief Responsible AI Officer. But he was talking about Microsoft's plans to invest $50 billion in addressing the growing AI divide, which I think, to cut through this story, Microsoft have totaled up what they are deploying in various types of CapEx and expenditure in what they term the Global South. I think it used to be called LEDCs, but basically outside of Microsoft's core markets, emerging markets of Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia and South Asia. And yeah, they've totaled up a pretty impressive CapEx number. But I think this is good. We've had concerns before that some of these US hyperscalers are just going to be deploying in tier one markets, and this seems to rebut that.
Yeah, just somewhat. A couple of interesting points. So it mentioned, I think they had mentioned they've spent about double what they termed the global north, which I think is basically Europe, US, Canada, Australia, Japan, Korea. I think these kind of markets. So they've to date spent double the amount that they've spent on the south. They give a figure of $8 billion for the global south. And yeah, as you mentioned, this is across markets: India, Mexico, Africa, South America, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East.
Yeah, I think coming on to our next stories, a large amount of this spending is going to be in the upcoming infrastructure hub of India. They've already committed $17.5 billion in AI infrastructure in India. I think that still leaves Microsoft probably as a smaller committer to that market than Amazon and Google. So yeah, that's a nice sort of segue on there. I saw also Google are landing 3 more subsea cables in India. This is early stage announcement. This is developing 3 new subsea cables. So this is part of one of the ones that goes from Florida through the sort of Persian Gulf and into India on the East Coast. There's one that comes out from there and goes into Perth, and there's another that's kind of going in from South Africa. I can't see which city in South Africa it is. My South African job.
South Africa.
Yeah. India.
Yeah, so the sounds like you're reading the same press release I am, which it's kind of difficult to keep track of where the subsea cables are going. But yeah, significant amounts of subsea stuff to obviously complement their significant data center builds out, particularly that one in Vizag, which I mentioned. So yeah, there's the Africa one, then there's the one which is going through Asia and Australia, and then the one which is connecting I think it's Mumbai to Perth. So yeah, three cables to kind of keep an eye on there for anyone interested in the fiber side of things.
Yeah. There were some announcements here. So there's kind of 2 back-to-back involving Tata. OpenAI, we have talked about this story before. So this is the TCS new, not shy. This is the data center unit that is already been talked about winning, being one of the key partners for OpenAI's India Stargate. I don't think they've officially they called it that in a previous press release, but they seem to have walked back that name. But they're looking at over 100 megawatts of capacity, options scaling up to 1 gigawatt in India. Yeah, this is a logical local partner. Tata is obviously a powerhouse conglomerate across everything from Jaguar Land Rover formerly, through to, of course, power infrastructure, telecom, fiber. And yeah, this would be a big deployment for them and a solid local partner for OpenAI to put their capacity in the country.
Yeah, and it mentions, obviously, you've kind of touched on it, Tata's kind of complementary renewable offerings and things like that. A lot of this potential 1 gigawatt of capacity will have renewables and things like that tied to it as well. So seems like potentially a very good partnership between those two.
Yeah, I did. So a couple other interesting ones here is on the chip side. So TCS also announced that they are partnering with AMD for the AI build out there, based on the interviews that we've done recently and people have been to, so the AMD, this is AMD Ryzen CPUs, and then they've also got their Instinct GPUs. But these are widely regarded to be a couple of generations behind the B300s and the Blackwell chips. I don't know, it doesn't, no comment on the use cases here, whether this is going to be a big training facility for frontier models in India, or whether this is going to be retraining for localized models. In India also will justify a huge inference capacity just because of the massive population and domestic market. And it still seems unclear to me, at least, I'm not a chip expert, on which of these chips are going for frontier models, which are for inferencing and the different use cases. But yeah, AMD seems to be the chosen partner here.
Yes, which brings us nicely onto Yata. So Yata, they've just announced that they're going to be spending $2 billion USD on NVIDIA chips. So they've bought apparently over 20,000 Blackwell B300s to create the biggest DGX cloud cluster in India.
Yeah, so Yata, obviously known more to our viewers probably under Sunil Gupta as a successful Indian data center startup. Decent amount of capacity. I'm sure you've got more info. Well, you can tell us and say which cities they're active in, how much capacity. But Yota is also launching their own domestic and regional cloud business. Is an AI first cloud business. This would almost seem like I don't know whether they'd be developing their own frontier models. If you look at the press around the AI conference this week in India, there's both welcoming in US frontier model development as well as attempts to build their own. I'd imagine this may be in partnership with some of the US companies initially before this, but yeah, they are developing their own suite of cloud and AI products as a brand alongside their data center infrastructure.
Yeah, it kind of don't speculate too much because I don't have an answer to that very long-winded question / statement. But let's wait and see on that one. Interest of time, I think let's move on to a couple of the other India stories / non-stories. We have Adani here, which is them talking about 5 gigawatts of capacity by 2030. Don't think there's anything particularly new here in this announcement, though, is there?
Yeah, I think following on from Microsoft's lead, they've just kind of compiled a bunch of their own press releases and made a new press release to remind everyone that they exist. 5 gigawatts targeted capacity across India, that's pretty crazy considering the biggest platforms in Asia at the moment have 1 gigawatt of total deployed capacity. I guess Adani reminding everyone that India's got some pretty impressive roadmap to go. Blackstone Lumina Cloud Infra, this is a bit more substantial here. So they are planning to invest $1.1 billion US in a 200 odd megawatt capacity in Ambattur, which is Chennai.
Yeah, so interesting. The Economic Times used the word may, so they may invest $1.1 billion. Lumina has acquired a land parcel in Ambattur, which serves the Chennai market, I suppose. Not a huge amount of information, but again, Anil Reddy has unofficially endorsed these reports by reposting information about the potential facility on LinkedIn. So I think there is something in this, and it's kind of hot on the heels of them announcing something in end of, probably around September, October time last year for Mumbai as well. So interesting to see how this platform goes, obviously, given that Blackstone are also now involved with AirTrunk. Another Blackstone story while we're on them. Blackstone-led group invests $600 million in Indian AI cloud NASA, I think is how you say it. So interesting NASA. So their CEO, Sharad Sanghi, I think is how you say it. He used to.
I'll leave these pronunciations to you.
Yeah, I'm getting the short straw today. But he formerly CEO of NTT for APAC, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously got a lot of significant amount of experience in developing data center capacity and kind of moving now to a slightly different angle. But this will be used to purchase 20,000 GPUs again. So 20,000 seems to be the magic number. Yeah, so they're going to be having over $1 billion to invest. So keep an eye out on what NASA do, because this is interesting and kind of hot in the heels of Blackstone previously investing in obviously CoreWeave, Firmus, and a couple of other players as well. So, interesting one to watch here.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a trend of data center veterans being hoovered up by some of these neo cloud businesses, and we've been keeping an eye in Europe on N-Scale's developments, as well as, I think also Firmus and Sharon as well. It seems that one of the areas the neo clouds have been accused of being a bit naive in the past is understanding how their vendors and the deployment cycles actually work and how to get data center capacity up in time. And it looks like they're trying to front run this by bringing in data center expertise and executives to combat that. I think that's all we've got for India this week, which is quite a few news stories. Telkom Indonesia are rumored to be selling Nutra DC again. This is listed this time for 1 billion to 1.5 billion. It's been a little while since we talked about this one. Any new news here? Or?
No, new. Again, I'm looking at the press release. It was originally explored selling the business in 2022, which is, I don't know how to even start doing the news then. Anyway, so it's been going. It's been going for a while. Then again, 2024, then tail end of 2024 again. They've got an interesting portfolio. So most of their, as per this, they list 24 data centers. So I think a lot of those data centers would be kind of tiny edge style sites. But they do have a couple of big hyperscale facilities as well. So it's one to keep an eye on. Like I said, I'm not sure. This could just be putting this news out there to see if there's any kind of appetite. But yeah, 1 to 1.5 billion.
One to keep an eye on is one behind, one to watch. So that's it's a bit less interesting than one to watch.
Yes, thank you. There is a story from Australia. Oh, and Equinix. Let's do Australia quickly. Macquarie have increased the debt facility to expand their IC3 Super West facility. So this is a very attractive site, which is in Sydney's North Zone, which is amongst the most constrained, or potentially the most constrained for the Microsoft AZs there. So they're going to, initially it was going to be a 6 megawatt develop, or 6 megawatts in the first phase. I think this is now going to rise to 19 megawatts. So this is basically them purchasing some of the long lead items, it sounds like. As it sounds, maybe 6 megawatts isn't big enough anymore, and they need to offer larger capacity. That's $353 million involved in that. And then Equinix, we've got 30 seconds to cover it, so go ahead.
Good news from Equinix and the partnership with Enios Renewables. We love a sustainability story. This is a 15-year PPA with, virtual PPA, I should say. So virtual PPA is where they buy the tokens, not specifically the power 24/7 to the site. With Enios Renewables, it's 121 megawatts total value, and the plant is up in Hyogo Prefecture. Again, a virtual PPA is not a perfect arrangement, but what we do need to see is more renewable capacity coming on in countries like Japan. So good news. Thank you, Equinix.
Great. That's time. 𝐤𝐸𝐸, everyone.
Eid Mubarak.
And Mubarak. Yes, great. Thanks, everyone. Bye.